Right, let's move into my panel. Lots of comments there about Anthony Albanese wanting to be sworn in on Sunday, along with Penny Wong. I thought it was pretty extraordinary. We might have a result on Saturday night, particularly if we're not going to get postals to Sunday afternoon. They're not even opened until then. We get pre-polls on Saturday night from 6 o'clock. But let's get my two journalists in to get their take on things. Campaign 2022 in the dying days now. Sky News Queensland editor Peta Credlin and Radio 2GB broadcaster Sky News host Chris Smith. Well, gentlemen, home stretch, welcome to the show. I thought the Albanese comments were arrogant, given how tight things are, Chris. But it was a reminder, I've been there when PMs have won. I know what happens in terms of the serious briefings, the work required to get everyone into their ministerial portfolios, all sworn in, feet under the desk, working hard. The idea that he's going to take off to Japan on Tuesday and leave us Richard Marles in charge as acting Prime Minister. But worse than that, he doesn't even get to choose his cabinet. In come the factional warlords, faces most voters wouldn't even know. They'll carve up his cabinet. I mean, this is Biden-esque, a leader in name only, isn't it?
A glimmer of Labor craziness in the first week if, of course, they get into power. Now, I can imagine Penny Wong would be insistent, like Penny Wong can be insistent, that she should go over to the Quad. I kind of get that. But to have Anthony Albanese in the stage of yeah, exactly. But in the stage of transitioning from a government to another government, probably, and he's not on the planet. Like, I know he's an economic dunce. We've proved that over the past 5.5 weeks. But this is like going to Hawaii on steroids, Peter. Like, seriously? The first week? And he has nothing to do at all with the factions. He can't tell the factions who he thinks should be deputy prime minister or should be the defence minister. Nothing at all. Gee, I don't get this at all. And that face today on the picture that was used that he posed for the Australian was incredibly arrogant. It was straight down the camera. It was, I'm the Prime Minister and I'm addressing the nation. And can I add, Peter, I've heard from two sources since the beginning of this election that he has installed a couple of overseas assignments as well. And I'm talking about Julia Gillard for Washington.
Oh, that's very interesting. I know people have been promised things in campaigns past to shut them up. He's got Bill Shorten still nominally on his front bench. He won't like having Bill Shorten there. I suspect he'll be offered something as well. Let's look at another big story out today, Gleeso, with you. It's all about pork barrelling. We know Labor say they want integrity. They'll be different from the government. Story today in the Daily Telegraph. It shows that 3 out of every $5 that Labor's pledged is being pledged in marginal seats. Out of the 250 million that candidates in Labor have promised, only 17% of that money has gone anywhere near safe coalition seats, i.e. seats that they're not in the run to win. Says everything, doesn't it?
Well, have you seen some of their ads having a crack at the Liberals over the car park sort of funding and the sports rorts? And we've seen the sports rorts here in Queensland. The Labor Party are gold medalist when it comes to pork barrelling. This just shows just how disingenuous they are. And I can tell you something now. One of the things that Anthony Albanese keeps talking about ad nauseum is a federal ICAC. Bring it on. Bring it on. Because the mob that'll benefit worst from anything to do with a federal ICAC or be disadvantaged more than any other party will be the Labor Party. They've got form. Have a look at what's happened in New South Wales. In Queensland, if we had a proper ICAC in Queensland, half the cabinet would be gone by now. So, look, when you look at those sorts of pork barrelling suggestions that we've seen from the Labor Party today, it just goes to show just how hypocritical they are when it comes to their advertising and their messaging in this campaign.
Hey, mate, we've got an eye back in Victoria. We're told the Premier's been there at least twice to be formally interviewed in secret. He's still there. That's just one of the many crimes against Daniel Andrews. And in New South Wales, Chris, a bloke goes out, loses his job as Premier over a bottle of wine. I mean, it's chalk and cheese if you're Liberal versus Labor. And fair enough, be critical of pork barrelling, but Labor do it. They do it themselves. They do it very professionally. But it's always the Libs that are in the gun. Talk to me about childcare. right? So Labor will change the childcare policy if elected. They'll make people that are earning over $500,000 eligible for taxpayer support. And when you look at the numbers, again, this was all in the prints today. This is an analysis done by the Australian National University. It says wealthy households will save $2,547 a year under Albanese's policy, but poorer income houses, they'll only get $454. Now, does that surprise you?
Oh, no, it doesn't. It's got his fingerprints, Anthony Albanese's fingerprints all over it. Inaccurate and no detail. Inaccurate and no detail. Just remember, he didn't know what the unemployment rate was. And here he is, so much for the Workers' Party, Peter. Whatever happened to Labor looking after the workers? They're looking after the wealthy. And bear in mind, this is the single most expensive policy promise he has made in this election. And who for? For the benefit of higher income workers. Look, as I said before, he's an economic dunce. The childcare policy proves it. I'm sorry.